Welcome back, Truth Seekers. If you're new here, congratulations. You just stumbled into one of the weirdest truth seeking journeys on the internet. And I'm your host, Josh. This is the Truth Seekers Podcast, where we dive deep, ask the hard questions, and uncover mysteries hidden in history, mythology, and scripture. Now, today's episode, we're going there. Did Solomon really have magic rings that controlled demons? Were parts of the Bible removed? And if so, why? And what do these so-called lost books reveal about truth versus deception? Do you think these books were removed to hide the truth or to prevent deception? Let's hear it. Now I know what some of y'all are thinking. Solomon with a magic ring. What is this, Lord of the Rings? One ring to rule them all. But trust me, the truth is even crazier than fiction. So buckle up, because today we're diving into two of the biggest lost book controversies, the Apocrypha and the Testament of Solomon. You're going to want to stick around for this one, because it does get interesting. Alright, Truth Seekers, so let's start with the Apocrypha. Because if you've ever opened a Catholic Bible and thought, wait a minute, why does it seem to have extra books? You're not alone. It's like ordering a burger and getting a side of fries that you didn't order. The question is, are they legit or just an extra filler? So what is the Apocrypha? These are books written between the Old and New Testament, between about 400 BC and 100 AD. Found in some Bibles like the Catholic and Orthodox Bible, but removed from others. The Apocrypha includes books like the 1st, 2nd Maccabees, Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Baruch, and extra sections of Daniel and Esther. Some of these books are legit historical accounts, but others, well, let's just say they're better off on the History Channel, narrated by the guys from Ancient Aliens. So, have you ever heard of the Apocrypha before today? If so, drop a book in the comments, just to let me know. And, if not, drop some eyeballs in there, if you're new to all this. So, why were these books removed? Well, originally, Jewish scholars never included it in the Old Testament. And Jesus and the apostles, they never referenced any of them. The law, the prophets, the writings, but never the Apocrypha. Then there's the doctrinal contradictions. Some of these books introduce ideas not found anywhere in Scripture, like praying to the dead, 2nd Maccabees 12:46, magic and angelic spells, Tobit 6, verses 5 through 7. And then purgatory-like concepts. See, imagine if you found an extra chapter of Revelation that said, oh, by the way, you can totally Venmo your way into heaven, dude. Yeah, that's a big red flag. Would you trust a book that teaches something not found anywhere else in Scripture? Drop a red flag in the comments if that sounds suspicious to you. So, are the apocryphal books used today? Yes. Catholic and Orthodox Bibles still include them. Most Protestant churches reject them, but some still use them as historical accounts, but not inspired. Some contain real history, but others introduce some very questionable doctrine. But here's where things get wild, because some of these books were actually included in the earliest versions of the Bible, but later removed. So were they hidden to cover up truth, or were they removed to prevent deception? Let me hear it. Do you think these books should be in the Bible, or was their removal justified? Drop in the comments. See, because I remember the first time I found out about the Apocrypha. I was flipping through different Bibles and suddenly saw books I never even heard of before. And I was like, hold up. did I just unlock some like secret DLC content for the Bible? Like, what is this? Why do some versions have extra books and others didn't? That sent me down a deep rabbit hole. All right. So, here's what most people don't realize. Some of these books weren't removed because they weren't inspired. They were removed because they were being used to justify false doctrines. In fact, certain religious groups use these books to support ideas like praying to the dead, secret knowledge, and even ideas that angels could be summoned to grant wishes. Sound familiar? So, what do you think? Were these books removed for good reasonings? Or do you think something else was going on, something hidden? Let's start a conversation in the comments. Let's talk about it. Come on. If this is blowing your mind so far, hit that follow button because next week we're exposing another lost book that takes us even further. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. And if you're still listening, drop that fire emoji in the comments so I know you're one of the real ones. But if you thought the Apocrypha was controversial, wait till you hear about the Testament of Solomon. This one gets maybe too. It's just crazy. I can't. I'm trying to put it into words. We're just have to get into it because it gets wild. All right, buckle up because if you thought extra Bible books were controversial, wait till you hear about the Testament of Solomon. A book that claims Solomon wasn't just wise, but he also had a magic ring that he used to summon demons and force them to build God's temple. I mean, what is this? Lord of the Rings, Jerusalem edition. I mean, what are we getting into? But just stick with me. If Solomon really had a magic ring, why doesn't the Bible mention it? Do you think this was a later myth? According to the text, Solomon was given a magical ring by the archangel Michael, used to summon, interrogate, and enslave demons. He had 72 demons under his command, each with unique powers, like causing disease, stirring up lust, or even manipulating the stars. Even got dating advice from a falling spirits, which, let's be honest, it's just about as relatable as relationship tips from TikTok. So let's get this straight. Solomon was the wisest king in history. Supposedly spent his free time chatting with demons. Right. Next, they're going to tell me he had a YouTube channel for sorcery tutorials. Alright. But would you trust a book that teaches how to summon demons? If not, why trust one that does? Where, if at all, does this mention in the Bible? So 1 Kings 4:29 through 34. Solomon's wisdom was from God, but not magic. In 1 Kings 11:4 through 6. Solomon's downfall came from idolatry and pagan influences, not demonic contracts. Like, didn't get a downfall because he was making contracts with demons. It wasn't his thing. Matthew 12:24. The Pharisees accused Jesus of casting demons out by Beelzebub. And Jesus rebuked them hard. So, if commanding demons was such a great thing, wouldn't Jesus have acknowledged it? Instead, he shut it down faster than a scam email from the Nigerian prince asking for a check. I know I said this a lot, but it gets crazier as we go on. Because this book isn't just a dusty old text sitting on a shelf. No. People are still using it today. You heard me. They're still using it. Occultists, magicians, even some secret societies reference Solomon as a master of hidden arts. Some even claim his magic ring still exists somewhere. Now, I'm not saying it does, but I am saying people out there are trying to find it. So, what do you think? Was this book fiction, or do you think people are really using it for occult rituals? Let me know what you think. So, why was this book rejected? As if it isn't obvious. Well, it was never part of the Bible. It was written between 100 to 300 AD, long after Solomon was gone. It was influenced by Greek, Gnostic, and occult traditions. So, if this book wasn't from Solomon, who wrote it? Most likely mystics and occultists who wanted to mix biblical authority with secret magic. Basically, it's the spiritual equivalent of fan fiction. This book has been used for centuries to justify witchcraft, demonology, and even modern occult rituals. In fact, secret societies like Freemasons and Kabbalists still reference it. Do you think the enemy still twists biblical figures for deception today? Drop some fire in the comments if you think deception is still alive and well. See, I remember when I first came across the Testament of Solomon, I saw people talking about Solomon controlling demons, and I thought, wait, what? I had to go deeper. And that's when I realized this book was being used in real occult circles. And that's when it hit me. This is part of a much bigger deception. Have you ever shockingly found something about biblical history and was like, what is this? If this is blowing your mind so far, hit that follow button. Because like I said, we're going to keep going through these all. And you won't want to miss it. But why does any of this even matter? Because some deceptions are still being used to confuse people, distort biblical truth, and lead them away from God. And we're going to talk about that next. Alright, so we covered the Apocrypha, we've exposed the wild claims of the Testament of Solomon, but here's the real question. Why does all this even matter today? I mean, these books are thousands of years old. They don't pertain to us at all. So why should we even care? Because the same deception is still at work today. The enemy doesn't need to create new lies. He just repackages the old ones and sends them down the line. And right now, these lost books are fueling modern day deception in ways most people don't even realize. See, let's start with the Apocrypha. These books have been used for centuries, justifying teachings never found in the Bible, things like purgatory, praying to the dead, and even work-based salvation. It doesn't work. Ephesians 2, 8 through 9. For it is grace alone that you have been saved, through faith. This is not from yourselves. It is a gift from God, not by works, so that no one can boast. Yet this book teaches you to pay off sins. If that were true, why did Jesus have to die on the cross? The gospel is about grace, not buying your way into heaven. Jesus said that no rich man could ever get into heaven because it's impossible to buy your way in. You can't have your faith in both money and God. So have you ever heard a teaching that didn't sit right with you? What was it? Let's expose these false doctrines together. Now, here's where things get dark. The Testament of Solomon isn't just some ancient myth. People are still using it today. In fact, some New Age occult circles, Solomon is treated like a master magician, like he is Gandalf himself, not some biblical king. There's entire books and secret societies dedicated to what they call Solomonic magic. Rituals supposedly based on his teachings. And it's being pushed harder and harder every day. Examples are certain magic groups still practice rituals based on this book. Even mainstream entertainment pushes Solomon as a sorcerer instead of a man of God. We got TV shows, books, video games that promote the idea that Solomon was a master of an occult. I mean, what's happening? The enemy is trying to take everything we knew and rewrite history and make people think that biblical figures were something not real. He's trying to chalk up the Bible with mythology. He created his own little history, turned it all up into a lie, calling it mythology after it was all true, just so he could sell off the Bible under the same light. If there's one thing Satan loves to do, it's to hide knowledge. The idea that the Bible isn't enough, that you need a secret book to understand the truth, it's literally the same lie that he told Eve in the garden. Did God really say? Genesis 3:5. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. That's exactly what these lost books push. The idea that God is hiding something from you, that you need to look outside of His Word to find truth. But let me tell you right now, God doesn't hide His truth. He reveals it. Only the devil has something to hide. See, I remember the first time I saw people actually defending these lost books. I was in a discussion where someone straight up said the Bible was edited to keep people blind. The real truth is in the Apocrypha and the forbidden books. And I realized this isn't just a debate. This is a spiritual war. That's when I knew I had to dig even deeper to understand these ideas, how the enemy is still using them to pull people away from the gospel. Here's the bottom line. The real Solomon was wise, but he didn't need a magic ring. The fact that people still use this book today proves one thing. Deception never dies. All it does is reinvents, repackages, rewraps, redistorts. None of it is new. So stay sharp. Final question. Do you think deception is worse today than it was in Solomon's time? Let's discuss it. And that's it for today's episode. If this opened your eyes, make sure you follow us, share, and support the podcast. I ask you to like, follow, and share because someone out there needs to hear this. And for some reason, the algorithm needs us to twist it too. Let's keep seeking truth together. And until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and as always, stay truthful.